And I know a lot of times, many of people I work with over the years, they define themselves by something that happened to them, and that identity takes over, and they can't be anything else. And it's almost like they feel like if someone took something away from them, a possibility away now because of that event. A parent wasn't there for them, or someone who had passed, or some terrible thing that happened. And we get to decide what we want to make of it. And that's the liberation, is that nothing hits our true nature, like that, the true self cannot be harmed, cannot be damaged. And so if we know that the things that occurred in the world that are from the ego, this moving constant flux in the mind of the ego, that there's something beneath us that wasn't touched by it. And that is our true nature. That's the absolute reality. And I think that would liberate a lot of people, and they can move on and not feel limited because maybe they had the wrong parents, or they grew up in the wrong neighborhood, or there's something bad happened to them that they can't overcome. And even illness, we can transcend anything if we have the knowledge of what reality is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is kind of the delicate points a lot of students of the mind come to, is kind of separating the mental experience in our lives from this pure consciousness and pure awareness. Because in the West, we're taught that the mental experience is consciousness. And in Adi Shankara's work, he's not defining the mind in that sense. The mind, although it's calculating and it's perceiving and processing, is not consciousness. Consciousness is separate. It is the ground where,
or the field of where it arises.
Yes, the field in which the mind arises, and where the human brain is doing its calculations and its perceptions and its experiencing. At the end of the day, that awareness, that consciousness, is untainted by the human experience. And that understanding then gives us the right perception that we cannot be damaged by human experience. If we identify with it, of course that we are going to feel traumatized and damaged, like so many people. It's so popular right now, this idea of trauma, that we're traumatized. Yeah, of course, from the perspective of our individual jiva.
The ego.
Our ego incarnation, our individuality. It feels like these experiences have damaged us, have traumatized us. But if you have this deeper understanding of the non-dual nature of existence, you see that the pure awareness in us cannot be damaged.
It's just an invincible feeling that no matter what happened to you, you can create your life. And that's, Carl Jung said that, no matter what happened to you, you're free to create your life. And that's really, this knowledge purifies the mind from the ego thinking to bad and wrong and victimhood and aggressors and us versus them and good and bad and right and wrong, to something much deeper and more profound that's within us, that can give us the strength to go and say, you do have a passion for helping those who've suffered in the same way you have. That's great. But you want to help them by purifying their mind, by letting them know and inspiring them that they can create, that's not a life sentence for them, whatever happened to them. We don't want to minimize it, of course, but it's not unsurmountable. And I think that's really a freedom that you can give people. If you purify your mind through that experience, you can help others purify theirs.
So last but not least, there's a beautiful quote from the Isa Upanishad. It says, he, or the person that obtains immortality through knowledge. And it means this higher knowledge, of course, not the ordinary knowledge of the world, but the understanding of the true nature of yourself. You become immortal because you are now identifying with that true source, which is indestructible, essential,